I'm Adil, and I'm the CEO of Emerging Strategy. We're a global market intelligence firm dedicated to helping companies navigate complex international markets. I spent the last 18 years building this company from a small office in Shanghai to what's now a more global firm, and we have team members in over 10 countries. My journey is really about identifying trends and leveraging data driven insights to help businesses make better decisions about their growth and about especially their international expansion. So, whether it's market entry, customer acquisition, or even navigating the intersection of business and geopolitical issues. So anybody
Yeah,
who's looking to expand internationally, that's how I can help them.
that was very fascinating when you first told me about it because I think policy environment across the world is more complex than ever. At the same time, everybody has more information than ever, but it's very hard to make sense of it. But definitely something very valuable that people can benefit from. The two main things that I wanted to discuss. One, I think that you started actually putting out videos and content talking about some of your analysis on LinkedIn. I thought that was very fascinating. I actually strongly believe that every business owner, every thought leader would need to be a creator to get the voice out. So I wanted to hear a little bit about that journey.
So I've been thinking about it for a while. And then more recently, over the last 6 to 12 months, I found that I was speaking more through my involvement in various boards or nonprofits or professional associations. Again, this is sort of, in real life.
Yeah.
And through these interactions I've been having with people, I've received a lot of encouraging feedback, and people would come up and say, "Look, you have an interesting perspective, and you really should be out there more. And why
Yeah.
aren't you?" And that was maybe the needed sort of kick in the ass a little bit, right? Where it's like, okay, I've been thinking about it. People seem to appreciate what I have to say. So what's really holding me back? What is this self-limiting belief that
Yeah.
I can't do it or shouldn't do it?
Yeah.
So I just woke up one day and I said, "All right, what the heck? Let me just do one video and see." And I kind of just got hooked onto it. I've been doing it now for about 2 or 3 weeks. Just decided to dive in. I can tell you a little bit about my workflow. It's not very sophisticated, but
No, I thought it was very, very cool. And I think like before we even jump into that, I did want to say that I actually think that a lot of folks who are, like subject matter experts, they sometimes maybe don't fully value the amount of knowledge that they have, or like, just in plain conversation, somebody could learn so much from them. So I thought that insight that you had, which is like, hey, a lot of people would want to hear this. And if not, I want to understand what people want to hear and actually like let's pull that thread. I think that is very important for any business owner at this point, and especially I think like folks who are in the more information style business, because like the whole game is that you have insights and you need to understand how to both share them, value them, create opportunities through them. So I thought that was very good, but let's jump into your workflow a little bit as well.
okay. All right, so it's a little bit embarrassing, but I'm happy to I'm happy to share a little bit. The main challenge I think that holds people back from this, besides being maybe a little bit shy or a bit of an introvert, I mean, at least speaking for myself. But other than that, I think it's the time commitment. What does it actually take to get these things done? We obviously have a lot of different things that demand our attention every day, and we can't sort of become part-time creators. If it can be something that we can do in a quick and easy and convenient way, I think that's what would get other people over that hurdle as well.
Right.
So I think the game changer for me was really AI
Yeah.
and these LLMs that helped me significantly reduce that production cycle time.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was I trained a custom GPT with a lot of my writing, even like transcripts of conversations I've had on related subjects on Zoom and things like that. I just uploaded, as many files as I could to help it understand my experience, my way of thinking, my way of speaking, writing, and the kind of themes, and even in a way like a little bit of like my worldview or philosophy of like how I think about certain overarching themes related to the world, related to society, to business, and so forth. So that was my first step. That custom GPT allows me to take basically themes that I come across and that I want to write about, describe them, and dump a lot of like data or articles or research into the GPT, and then allow it to come up with a fairly good draft that I can then
Yeah.
work with. The second step is to then, well, the two branches to this. The strategy I'm pursuing is not only video, I'm also writing more for like sort of the public domain, right? Because in the past, my writing has been really just for clients who pay us. And so in terms of creating content that's more accessible, but then I can also take that article and put it into another custom GPT I created, which is a simpler one that basically takes article length material and turns it into a talk track for a 1 or 2 minute video. And then there's still a bit more tweaking to it, as you can imagine. But this whole process, I've now, managed to bring it down to under an hour of my time.
Mm.
So from ideation to having something that's pretty well fleshed out, taking that into a talk track, recording the video. So what
Yeah.
I'm doing is actually doing a single take. And if it's a 3 minute video and I mess up sometimes, I have to do it again.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Makes
yeah.
sense.
So I found a teleprompter app, so I can sort of copy and paste my talk track into that. It sort of hovers as a floating window near the top of the screen near the camera. I started using CapCut to basically just do some very basic, subtitles and things like that. So at the moment, I would say my videos are extremely basic. So I really believe in starting ugly if you have to, just get it done, start putting stuff out there, because sometimes people with my personality type can focus a little bit more too much on the details and
And the perfection of it.
try to get to perfection and a little bit of like analysis and paralysis, right? Like that whole problem. So I really needed to intentionally push myself through that and say, all right, it doesn't matter if it looks shitty. It's a place to start, and I can
Love
build
it.
on that.
I love this. And when you described that you trained an LLM with all the work that you've done in the past, I think that was a really good use case. I think the blank page is the scariest thing. And, just putting some thoughts and like, hey, I'm thinking about these things. What should I talk more about? I think that's just kind of both obvious and brilliant at the same time. So I think that was really cool. I think like the second part about the perfection, and I think like getting the quality. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But maybe there is a silver lining here. When all the AI videos are perfect, then the human videos will be the imperfect ones. Which people will say like, "Hey, I want to connect with this guy. He's like me.
Yeah,
This is a person who's thoughtful, thinking about this, talking about this." Not so. I think
yeah.
I love that as well. To be honest.
The final thing I would say is about consistency and discipline,
Yeah.
and this is hard. So I don't know if I'll be able to stick with this, Asad. I'll try, but it's a little bit like when you get into exercise and going to the gym and things like that, where you sort of say like, I have to do it today. And so the simple rule I've made that I've stuck to for the last few weeks since I started was that I will not go to sleep until my video is done and
Amazing.
and published.
In the last couple of minutes, would love to hear, given like so many changes happening, what are some of the top two or three things in terms of policy and the business impacting things that we should keep in mind?
Sure. Look, there's a lot going on, but since you're in Silicon Valley and in the tech industry, let me just talk about potentially kind of impacts on technology. So I think on the tech side, both for AI and for crypto, I think the outlook with Trump is more positive for the industry.
Yeah.
Although I would say that there are and should be concerns on the consumer side. So, and I don't think this is surprising for anybody that it is positive for the industry because, after all, he did manage to get a lot more tech industry support this time around than he did in his previous runs. So, for AI, I think the basic philosophy is deregulation, rolling back some of the Biden administration's executive orders and things like that that pertain to this. I think as far as restricting China's access to AI and things like that are concerned, I think it's pretty similar to the previous administration. I don't think there's much difference there. Maybe some continuing emphasis on onshoring hardware production, reduced reliance on TSMC, and it may be for different reasons. Maybe because under this administration, maybe they feel they don't want to be dependent on Taiwan as much. So less top-down mandates, less
Yeah.
of the government telling you what to do.
I think maybe the opportunity, as you said, is coming from if there is deregulation and like these companies have to try different things. So I think maybe they
Yeah.
will be able to do
Yeah.
that much more
I
faster.
think the kind of the intersection of this issue with international, in terms of the companies that are playing internationally, I think for them the risk is around lack of standardization in regulation, and this applies both to the AI side as well as the crypto side, where if you're doing business cross border, and all of these tech companies are, how do you then take a more permissive regulatory environment in the US, but build in ways that you can still access markets in higher regulatory environments, for example, Europe and other
Right.
places? So I think that's going to be an ongoing sort of push and pull for many companies.
Yeah, and I think, do you think that like in the early days, the European market would be very important for these folks, or in some cases, like some launches have happened which don't even happen in Europe because of the regulatory regime, and that would be fine because it's very early.
Fair enough, but I think if you're really thinking big and playing big, you want to try and get some kind of first mover advantage
Yeah,
in key markets around the world as quickly as possible. Look at OpenAI. So I think that if you have a truly like big vision for your product, so that you're not sort of
yeah,
hamstrung by your market selection.
yeah, makes sense. This was really really cool. Yeah, I feel like we need to talk more about some of these things, so maybe we'll find some more time. But for now,
Sure.
thank you so much. It was a really really great conversation. I am rooting for your creator journey as well and your core business too. So
Thank you.
this
That's
was
very
amazing.
kind of you. And I'm excited about what you're building as well. And good luck with that. Always great to reconnect. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
awesome.